The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the host or producers. Any products and services discussed or statements and claims made by the guests remain the responsibility of the guests. Content is shared for informational and educational purposes only. The host and producers are not liable for the accuracy, legality, or sensitivity of any statements made or information shared by the guests. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, Alan, welcome to our studio. Thanks for your time and your effort in coming through to Pretoria. I know that you're Cape Town based. And luckily, off air, I asked you whether you flew all the way here just for the podcast. And you said to me, no, Willem, luckily not. It was for other business too. But it's lucky to have you here. I think it's long overdue. You've been at a couple of our exhibitions and in our World Toilet Day and World Plumbing Day events. So our plumbers have seen you and they've seen the brand and some of your products that you've exhibited. But it's lucky to finally have you in studio and actually talk about the brand and the products and give that exposure to our plumbers.
Thank you, Willem, and to PIRB. We've really enjoyed. We've come to your World Toilet Day in the past. It's a great organization, and yes, I am based in Cape Town, but our big warehouse is here in Joburg, so I come up every couple of weeks, and it's a great opportunity to be able to be on the podcast and have Duncan join us. And I look forward to discussing water treatment and how it involves the plumbing industry. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Duncan, welcome back.
How's it, Willem?
What did you say that one day, Alan, he said to me, it's nice to have you, have you on my show. You said that to me. But Duncan,
I've been here a few times, so that's why it's my show now.
I know that Duncan especially is very, very focused on and passionate about passing on knowledge and to empower people with knowledge. And that's the exact reason we're introducing a new brand and a new type of product, new type of opportunities that it would open for our plumbers. But at the end of the day, our podcasts are aimed at specifically empowering our plumbers with knowledge. So Duncan, this is kind of his passion. Share the knowledge, empower people with knowledge, get them skilled up, get them to reach their full potential. So lucky to have you back, Duncan.
We saw that a few years ago when I met Duncan right from the start. He's always had that passion for the industry. It's not just about the business side, but it's empowering the young plumbers, being involved in the industry in many different ways. So yeah, we enjoy working with Duncan.
But lucky, the fact is, we use the word learn and we use the word new because our industry constantly evolves. There's constantly new stuff coming in, new products, new types of materials. Regulations and standards may change. Yes. And the plumbers need to constantly be informed about it. But again, this is something that is not only a new product, it's a new opportunity for plumbers. And that's why I want to dig into it. Duncan, you were about to say something?
Yeah, so for us as in, the UPP group, we have a 10-year target of by 2032, we want to empower 100,000 people and 50% of those being women through smart water sustainability and empowerment. And I didn't realize that, I had two major sort of areas of what I'm doing is empowerment and sustainability. So a couple of years ago, I met Alan around 2017, 2018, when I had been asked by a major commercial company to get involved in sort of looking at sustainability. And I didn't even know what the word sustainability meant. It was like, what? And I think most plumbers are like that. They kind of think, huh? What's sustainability? But for me, sustainability is about our industry. It's about our country. It's about our water scenario. It's about so much more. And I think for us and we always use it as the artisan, giving them that added value to upskilling themselves, empowering themselves, growth mindset. I mean, we've done so many topics on leadership. And I think at the end of the day, my real focus is leadership. It's to how to lead the ship. How do we lead the Titanic away from hitting
that iceberg?
The iceberg. and it's about education. It's about building relationships. And Alan and I met many years ago when I was doing a lot of work on the acid mine drainage and stuff like that. And then he I got involved with him, and then he helped me and showed me and helped me to design and learn about products on projects. So from being just a normal plumber to now upskilling myself into a water specialist in terms of filtration and dealing with boreholes, dealing with rainwater, dealing with river water, mine shaft water, dirty water, anything to do with water. So I thank Alan for that, because I think what they offer in our industry right now is the future. It's where we're going, it's where our country's going, it's all the problem that we're having. I mean, yesterday alone, we were with Joburg Water and we couldn't get out of the building because they were having a strike there because of no water. And we were dealing with the innovation department of Joburg Water, the two of us and guys from Norway and from the brand Easy Flow. And we'll talk about that a bit later. But we were there to solve a problem. We're there to try and solve a problem. And the problem is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what I want to say now is that we need the plumbers. We're going to need them. And that's what we are trying to achieve. So we want to grow them.
Duncan, the fact is plumbers already work with water and water systems. They're already a trusted service provider. They already have an established client base. This is empowering them with knowledge, right? And creating possibly new business opportunities for them. But at the same time, you're turning plumbers into solutions providers. They're not just anymore a repairs person or an installations person.
We're turning them into artists.
But listen, so we're speaking of this wow thing, like plumbers, we're going to offer this wow thing. Let's dig a little bit into WCSA, Water Components SA. Let's talk about its origins, its footprint. Let's talk about its values, what makes it stand out. What do you do? What is it that you do? What kind of products do you bring in or distribute? I'm going to give the stage to you.
Thank you, Willem. Yes, so Water Components South Africa started roughly about 20 years ago. But before Water Components South Africa, we had another company called Aquamarine Water Treatment. Now, Aquamarine Water Treatment was an OEM company that manufactured reverse osmosis systems, specializing in desalination reverse osmosis systems. And we built systems all over Africa, and obviously a lot of them in South Africa. And what that did for us was that gave all the guys at Water Components South Africa a very strong engineering and technical background. And that, like I said, was the OEM part of the business, and we sold the systems, we serviced, we did all of that. Water Components South Africa is an importer, and we like to call ourselves a one-stop shop in water treatment.
Right.
So we basically, all the products we bring in and that we sell on to the trade, we understand them and we can help the guys and assist them to put in the correct systems. Now, the one-stop shop factor is right from the very smallest little fittings, little RO tubing, up to the big reverse osmosis membranes, all the different medias, the vessels that hold the medias. We sell complete reverse osmosis systems. But from in the residential space, where you got your little countertop and under counter units, under counter reverse osmosis systems, into the sort of middle market as well, where guys are installing systems, borehole systems, rainwater systems. We supply them the components for that. And then the very big industrial water treatment companies also buy all the equipment from us. And when they come to us, the nice thing is we're not just selling them a product. If someone doesn't understand water treatment that well and they're getting into that, we do take water analysis from them. We look at the analysis, we spec it, we tell them the process design that they should go with. And then from there, they basically go and install. We only sell to the trade. We're very strict on that. We've never sold to the end user. And that's always been about building the relationship with the trade, making them competitive, backing them. And it's not about once-off sales. It's about building a long-term relationship. And that's what we tend to do. So we work with the guys right up to the point where they then buy the equipment and then they will go and install it at a customer's site. And also we're very good from a products when there's problems or there's issues on the products, it does happen, then we sort of will be involved.
That after sales stuff.
After sales.
Services.
We are based, our biggest warehouse is here in Joburg, in the Germiston area. And then we've got a big warehouse in Durban and in Cape Town. And yeah, we currently have over 3,000 distributors throughout Africa that we sell onto.
Sure.
But yeah, pretty much a few years ago, talking about almost 5-6 years ago, the water crisis in Cape Town, we had multiple plumbers getting involved in water treatment. And, you know, we're very happy to say we've got a lot of plumbers on our books now. And in the Joburg upcountry region, more and more plumbers are getting involved with us just because of all the water problems. And a lot of these plumbing guys, not every company, but a lot of them, you're finding sometimes on certain months, 20 to 30% of their turnover, their business, sometimes more, is on water treatment. So it's a great added benefit.
Yeah.
So that's water components. You know, anyone that's in the trades, welcome to come to our warehouses. We offer training. We take guys through there, showing the guys. We do have catalogs, price lists. So yeah,
Duncan, during our World Toilet Day that's coming up in November, is part of that training that you guys are going to get there on the filtration part on the is that
so we're going to do an hour's training. It's going to be introducing guys to the basics of filtration, what to look at, and then the benefit I think for any plumber out there is that, you know, you get a client who says, "Here's my water," or I've got these tests being done. And then they go, okay, cool. So how do I read this? How do I understand this? And that, I think that's already the block from a plumber. He goes, well, let me hand it over to someone else. And they'll probably hand that work over to someone else. Whereas Alan and them that's what they did with me, is they took me in and they nourished and nurtured me in learning. I mean, Alan used to send me emails of, this is what iron is about. This is what potassium, this is what E. coli is about. And this is your pH levels. And this is what, and so you have to do a bit of research, but the process is nice because as you start working in the projects, you start learning the stuff and you start understanding a little better. And then obviously with them, they grow you from, let's say, a basic sort of filtration guy up to intermediate. And eventually we move you up, you know, to someone more professional. And like you said, those big projects where I can see South Africa going down that road where waste treatment, water treatment is going to become privatized, just like Eskom, you know, with what happened in electricity. And I see people having plants and bottling plants and people producing water all the time. And there's going to have to be standards. There's going to have to be licenses and there's going to have to be proper design. Yeah. And I think that's the generation that we are talking into. This is the generation that we want to grow.
Laying the foundations now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When that comes.
Yeah.
Let's quickly have a look at, right, so it's Water Components SA is the entity that brings these products in, distributes them, gives the training and the support, and being part of that project and the journey for the plumber from conception to installation, right? Yes. But it's a range of different brands. It's not only a range of different products, but it's also a range of different brands. So the Easy Flow that's on the banner right behind us, that's one of them. I saw here that there are a couple of others on the brochure. So just a quick overview of the different brands.
So over the years, we've always liked to have the big brand names, the high quality, you call them the Rolls-Royce brands. And some of those would be like your Dryden Aqua, the AFM, which is the activated glass media. Then we the Film Tech Agents, which is your top reverse osmosis membrane. And we have about, I'm not going to mention them all now, but we probably have about 40, 50 brands. What we've tried to do over the years is, you know, a lot of customers have different budgets and different needs. So you get the guy that comes in that wants all the brands and he wants all the high-end stuff. We can offer that, and that comes at that certain price tag. But there's also the guys that can't afford that and want the basic equipment. So what we've specialized over the years is having the high-end brands, but also having the more economy ranges as well, where a lot of those products would come out of the East. We still make sure that the quality is very good. We go there multiple times a year. and we make sure we can find the best product at a certain price. So if you come into our warehouse and you give us what you want, we will then show you the different options. And it's not just about the big membranes and that. With the guys who've got solenoid valves or they've got PVC pipes, bag filters, whatever they're using, we will give you the options of the different quality levels that there are available.
So if it's a range of about 40 different brands,
Yes.
Are they manufactured in different countries? Are they manufactured here? Some of them manufactured
So-
here? Is it?
The majority come from overseas. I mean, look, we bring stuff from North America, quite a lot from Europe, a big portion of it out of China, Taiwan, and then there's quite a lot now out of India, and Vietnam's also become
All right.
quite a big supplier. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of local manufacture on water treatment components in South Africa. Hopefully one day it gets there. There are some guys that make the polypropylene filters locally, but probably 99% of it would be imported.
And any standards that they have to be manufactured according to? Any testing that they have to undergo?
Yeah. So the biggest testing globally, the sort of stamp you talk about, there's like the Water Quality Association stamp. There's also the NSF certification. Currently in South Africa, there isn't a local water treatment certification board, which is something we actually wanting to look into and get in place. But all the products that come through Watercomp in South Africa, you can be assured that it's got some international certification on it. Because we sell to such a large base of customers, we need to make sure that whatever we're selling is good. And it's not going to have comebacks and there's not going to be problems.
Like you said, your Rolls Royces and then other products that are more because we've got a diverse society in South Africa. I mean, you've got those who would purchase your Rolls Royces, but you then have those that would purchase the smaller type of product or the more basic and more affordable type of product.
So Willem, let me tell you a little quick story about a brand. So a couple of years ago, Alan and I, when we were doing a lot of the backup systems and backups were starting to grow, probably about 5 years ago, we saw a need for, because a lot of the guys that were doing the float, they had the old ball valve in the tank. Now, every plumber knows that in a cistern, a ball is like ancient news, and you don't want that anymore. So we started looking around and asking questions and all of that. And then a lot of the suppliers in South Africa started to move out and not supply products anymore and all of that. So I spoke to Lee, and Lee, who's obviously is one of the owners of WCSA. He went out and just on his own went and did a research about, how can we look at these valves and, the intake valves. And eventually he found the Tank Buddy. And the Tank Buddy now is around South Africa. It's like a plumber's handy kit. It's, like when you're doing backup systems, it's so we'll show you the product in our product demo, but it's about, stopping the flow of water into your tanks when you're doing a combined rainwater system or a borehole system, whatever it is. And it's such a handy tool within a plumber's sort of water backups now that it's now become a local product. It's local and everybody's asking for it. I mean, I think, I don't want to mention all the plumbers, the suppliers that supply it, but it's just taken off because it's such a need in the industry. And those are the type of brands that they bring in that for us, like with Brendan and I, we really look at brands that are going to make an impact.
Yes.
And I think that's what we've done with Alan is that they are starting to look at real good brands that actually make an impact we call them game changers.
Yeah.
So that's just one of them.
We've got all the stock standard water treatment products, but every year we're constantly trying to find new products to add. And very briefly, the product we added a few years ago, it's called Quantum Disinfection. They're basically little small balls that have an internal silica base, and they've got titanium dioxide around them, and all that does, so not to get too technical,
Get technical. Our plumbers are technical. They want to understand the technical details.
Exactly, but it creates a very strong charge on it, and when water flows over these little white beads, it basically rips the electron out of a bacteria that's flowing over. That's the technical side, but the point of this was there were so many areas in South Africa and Africa where there's no power, where guys couldn't install a UV light. So this is a product that's used by the USA Army. It's sold throughout America, Europe. So it's got all the certifications you need. It really works well. And it's very close to what a UV light would cost. And during the sort of when we had a lot of load shedding still in South Africa, a lot of the guys were buying that, because you must remember what a lot of people forget is when a UV light goes off and the power switches off, once you switch it back on, most UV brands take about 5 minutes to get to their full ultraviolet capacity. So you're getting all that water flowing through now that's not taking out the bacteria.
Yeah.
So that quantum disinfection little beads that sit in a canister, whatever water flows over, whether there's power or not, or, often we send them up into Africa and disaster areas, and that the water's always been treated.
Yeah.
And its kill rate is as high as a UV light.
Jeez.
So those are the fun products we brought in the last few years that are newer technology, and like Duncan mentioned, the Tank Buddy. So
innovative. Hey?
Yeah,
and just to mention and to add to that, I mean, a lot of the plumbers are putting UV in now. And now you think about the load shedding.
Yes.
But the other problem is the Oaks don't put the UV in properly. So they said they install it upside down, and they don't actually know that it should be facing up. The other thing they do is that often when those bulbs break or they blow, where does that glass go? And you know what I'm saying? So people don't realize those type of things. And that's why having a quantum is just, and think about our urban people, that not everybody has power.
Exactly.
So that's where the quantum comes in, and it plays well with rainwater. It works well in the borehole space, just making sure that it's clean.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to drink the water, but at least being able to flush toilets, about irrigate, to use it for your bath, shower, whatever. That's 95% of the job done.
One of the things Duncan mentioned there about those UV bulbs, or the quartz that goes around the UV bulb, that's the sort of stuff when we do product training at our offices, which we do quite often. It's things like that the guys don't think about. A quartz sleeve or a bulb breaking, it's unlikely, but in the event it does happen, if that glass does break into smaller shards and pieces, how do you get that out of the plumbing system? When do you know when it's out?
Yeah.
So then we'll tell the guys, put a basic strainer or disc filter after the UV light. It's small things like that the guys don't always pick up. And that's where working with us, we give you that added benefit and the confidence to sell the right product.
As well as not only that guidance that you give during projects and when you sell products to the plumbers and the installers and the technicians, but also the kind of training that you're giving.
Yes.
Hence, I refer back to the training that's going to happen on the 21st of November at our World Toilet Day event.
Yes.
I'm actually looking forward to that. But now, a word that stood out for me that Duncan used, and I think it was, you might have used the word as well, but Duncan used it twice, is need, right? And I want to get back to asking this question. What, in your perspective, is the current water situation in South Africa? Do we have a water crisis in South Africa? I mean, what is the need for this kind of solution and this kind of products to come into our country?
So I mentioned it earlier, in Cape Town, we had the water crisis that lasted about 3 or 4 years, and we've got out of that problem in Cape Town for now. But upcountry, specifically in the sort of Joburg, Pretoria region, the water crisis is twofold. I'll try sort of in a nutshell explain it, but the big issue is the revenue water that's coming in the pipe networks. Estimations of 45 to 50% of all revenue water through the council is being lost through leaks, and there's various reasons for that. So there's often water supply at the dams and that, or at the reservoirs, but the bulk pipelines, the smaller pipelines, the mains to house or mains to the building have got so many leaks, and it's often those small leaks that are causing the problems. The big leaks that come above ground, they come and fix. The small leaks are the ones you don't notice.
Yes.
So the upcountry, our problem on that municipal side is you just, there's not enough waters going through the system because of all the leaks and all those problems. The second part of it is we've got a serious wastewater problem in South Africa. A lot of people aren't aware of that. There's sort of estimations that 40-50% of the wastewater treatment plants are not treating the plants to where they should be.
Yes.
And what happens there is you don't always notice it straight away. So they're treating the wastewater. They are putting it back into the system, but it's not always been treated right. And now what you happen in our rivers, dams, your underground supplies, there's a build-up now of issues. And then you hear, it's not common yet, but you hear about a cholera breakout or you hear that. And sometimes those are the tip of the icebergs. And it's not to be a prophet of doom, but it is something we need to be aware of. Wastewater is going to become a very big challenge in this country. So what a lot of people are doing is if they have the finance and the backup, they will put a backup system in, whether it's a rainwater system, a borehole system. People are doing that because if you follow the news, especially the last couple of weeks in Joburg, you're getting certain areas that are out of water for a few days to a few weeks. KwaZulu-Natal as well.
It was what he was saying. He came from the Joburg meeting yesterday and they had riots there because of the shortage of water. And it's been like that for weeks, if I understand it correctly.
So, Willem, just to add to what Alan is saying there, and when you say need, okay, so when there is no water, we've got a need. We're bringing politics into our bathroom, into our toilets, and saying, hey, what's going on here? So water traveling down a pipe, water traveling from Randwater. Randwater doesn't have a problem. The Vol Dam is full. We've got lots of water. But it's how it's distributed to a storage facility. And if that's got a crack in it, it's leaking.
Yeah.
So now you've got to try and bypass that water. And then obviously you've got a power problem, so pumps don't work.
Yeah.
All right, then you've got another problem. You've got old infrastructure. You've got asbestos piping in the ground. You've got, that's been sitting there for 80 years.
Yes.
So now what's traveling through asbestos piping? What's the quality of that water? Then you've got municipalities that can't afford to run a budget. They don't even know what a budget is. So, sorry, but when you have a dirty pool at home after the big rains, what do you gooi in?
Chlorine.
Just the easiest and cheapest way to get it going.
Blauwvitriol.
Exactly. So what do you think? So now what is Joburg residents putting their faith in? They're saying, hold on, I just trust that the water coming out of my tap is drinkable. Okay, then you've got boreholes. We've got acid mine drainage. Our acid is overflowing because it's just pushed up. That whole gas experience down in Bree Street, that was sewer systems and not just gas. That was more about underground water popping up and methane blockages.
Yeah.
So when we say a need, the need for clean water has been, it's so much needed now more than ever.
Yeah.
And then the other part of like what we say in terms of rain, borehole, all of that water needs to be cleaned. If we are drinking it, we need to make sure, because trust me, how many people get sick? Cholera, E. coli.
We had that cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal, just on the other side and lives were lost. That's a fact. It's not just that people got ill and landed up in hospital. Lives were lost.
Exactly.
And people died of it. We speak of E. coli. It's not only cholera, it's E. coli as well. There's all sorts of
And I just wanted to add, it's for the youngsters out there that are coming to varsity or looking for a career, and that not just in South Africa but globally, water, you hear it often, water problems are facing most of the world, certain areas more than others. But it's great for the plumbers and the guys coming into varsity, and that it's a good career to follow because it's the problem that's not going away. And we're going to have to be, clever about how we treat our water, sustain it. And so
we mentioned,
So sorry, I just want to add to that. So I had a call the other day. And the guy phoned me up and he said, Dunk, I want to start a new business. So I said, oh, so what business do you want to start? He says, no, I want to deliver water. So he's now looking into getting tankers but he says, I've sunk a borehole. I've got 7,000 liters of water per hour that I'm getting out of the borehole. So I've had the quality test. So I phone up Alan and I say, Al, we're going to do this test. We're going to look at this water And now this guy's got a business starting now that he's bought the trucks and everything, because typically he has to have a Vula process and a Vula license so that he can start a business on delivering water. You know how much those oaks, you know, the mafia, they talk about the water delivery? That's a hectic business now, man. I mean, because most of the time you've got to pay up front and it's like 10 grand a pop or whatever it is. So think about it like that. That's exactly where we're going with water.
But this is the exact question that I want to ask now, because at the beginning of our podcast, we mentioned that plumbers we empower them with knowledge through our podcasts and training and things like that, so that they can become solutions providers. And that brings me back to what I want to ask now. Can this, you said you use the word business, I want to start a business. Can water filtration, water purification, that kind of thing, can it present new opportunities for our viewers, which are mainly plumbers?
100%.
Oh,
I mean, the
100%.
proof's in the pudding. You know, I mentioned earlier, we've got multiple plumbers that now buy from us, and if on any given day at our warehouses across the board, we might have, call it 8 to 10 plumbers coming in a day to buy equipment. And what's nice for them, some of them, you know, we always say to them, stay in the area where you feel comfortable and you experience. A lot of them will just do countertop, under counter RO units. The guys that have learned a little bit more will start bringing us water analysis, like what we've done with Duncan. You know, they also bring us the water analysis. We go through it. We're a business that we're not trying to get every job out there. We're trying to build long-term relationships. So sometimes, and Duncan can attest to that, if I get a water analysis and it's very complex water, I will sometimes then say to them, like, listen, I don't think you should get involved with this site, because firstly, even the very specialist water treatment companies would battle the site. So if you get involved, it's going to be difficult. So we just try to steer the guys. We don't tell them what they can and can't do, but we say, this one may be handed on to a specialist company, but there's 80-90% of the jobs out there that they're quite capable of. And then we give them that background. We make sure that they're using the correct equipment. So for plumbers, what I mentioned earlier, you know, and some of the guys told me this because we built relationships with them. They have come to me some months where they're like 40-50% of their business that month is in water treatment.
That's
It's growing.
Hey?
And then there's other guys in the bigger plumbing companies where, say, they've got 20-30 plumbers, you know, the big guys, they will often have 1 or 2 plumbers in the teams that they've sent to us for training, and we built the knowledge. So when water treatment stuff comes up on their plate, then those guys within that company go do it. So it's 100% worth their time getting knowledge around it and understanding it, because it adds a lot to their business.
I mean, Duncan, you've said it before when we've spoken about rain harvesting, the rain harvesting products, and the fact that plumbers do get quiet times in a month. You know, they do get those quiet times when there's no geysers to be replaced, no drains to be unblocked, no new builds systems that need to be installed, or you know, there's going to be quiet times for plumbers, and then it's those times. How do you generate an income? Where's your revenue coming from? And then you can present these as opportunities, or you can use this as an opportunity.
Yes.
But say they do, say they say, okay, I want to do this. I want to get involved in this. I want to use this as an opportunity to expand my business and my business services offerings to my customers. What kind of approach do they take? How do they approach their customers with this introduction of this?
So
or do they just simply wait for the customer to say, hey, I'm in need of this? Or how do they
I think
approach this?
Duncan can
I'll jump
answer
in.
that better. Yeah.
I'll jump in there. And so typically when you have a portfolio, or you have a relationship, or you have a database of customers, so every sort of client that you have is either going to be in a complex, or they're going to be a property owner, or they're going to be just a simple residential. So there's a game plan for each and every one of them. But typically, like in the past, when I used to walk onto a site and I would see gutters, I'd walk past and not even think about it. But now that I've learned that rain harvesting training, I walk on and I go, oh my goodness, you guys are not catching water here. You could be using it for this. The same thing applies for water, like as in you've got council water, but you're having backup problems. You've got rain over there. You've got different options. Now we can say, well, there's a borehole. We can extract water from a borehole. Or hold on, let's go even further. So we've got a shopping center now. So they want to get off the grid. So they
Yeah.
want to sink 5 boreholes.
Yeah.
And then they want to have a Vula process and a monthly SLA, and then have a 3-year contract with it so that you have income coming in. So you look after the plant. Then it turns into so much more than that. You go to pig farms. I mean, we've done pig farms together. We've done Eskom, we've done Escort, the meat guys. We've done acid mine drainage. I mean, we've done rivers. I mean, it's just so big.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of work out there.
And there's tons and tons of work out there. And you've got a few people, a few really, in this industry. And they are all starting to grow and expand and do their thing. But we need more. There is so much work. So
it goes back to the same thing that I've always said. Plumbers already work with water and with water systems and with piping and those kind of things. They know the basics of this. They are already trusted service providers with their customer bases. Why not just get involved with this and add it as an additional business offering or service offering to your customers?
I guarantee you, Willem, that most plumbers will start this journey, and then they will sort of do their basics, like their geysers and their maintenance. But after a while, this will become part of their main business. And eventually you'll start to see that 70%, 80%. And exactly what happened to me. I'm a full-time consultant. So I've moved from that journey all the way out. And now I get to design, and I get to talk to UJ and universities and do speaking events and talk to people like in the water can and these serious people. And I'm going, like, little old me, the plumber, what did I know 10 years ago? Nothing. But if I can do it,
Exactly.
Then all the plumbers can do it. So
what also happens with WCSA is the plumbers that come to our training, that get involved, we also getting involved with them through the different plumbing boards and that, and getting to know the guys, and we also getting into the retail space more, that sell the supplies to the plumbers. But if we know you are involved there, you've learned a bit, and we built a relationship with you, we get end users contacting us every day, all day. And depending, if it's a big iron manganese removal site, then we might be putting it onto one of the specialist water treatment companies. But these rainwater systems, these countertop units, and that, we put a lot of business onto the guys that we work with. So that's also a nice way to sort of build your, and once you do it for one customer, then they tell their friends and their family, and the next minute you've got 3-4 sites, and you start building up a portfolio on the water treatment side.
I can tell you now, there's going to be plumbers now, our audience, our listeners and our viewers, that are going to be excited. They're going to hey, I want to get involved with this. But it's easy to say you're going to get involved with this. Duncan mentioned earlier something that caught my attention. And he mentioned that, things that plumbers don't know, like the UV light, for example, that he said they don't know that it should be, the way that it should be installed to work correctly, those kind of things. So obviously there would be room for plumbers to make mistakes. And those that you've encountered before, the plumbers that have taken this on, have you come across like common mistakes that they make? Have you come across like things that they do wrong? Because they're excited about this. They want to get involved. They want to expand it. They want to do more of it. But the chances are that they might be doing it wrong.
I'll jump in there from a point of my experience in the water crisis in Cape Town, because I don't want to point fingers at plumbers here. There were a lot of water treatment companies and guys that weren't experienced enough, that weren't asking the advice. And one of the most common things, there's multiple things you can do wrong, but one of the most common ones we saw is the triple big blue, which is the biggest seller across the country. It's the 3 big blue housings, with sediment filters in. We'll show you guys one just now. I'm sure all the plumbers have seen them already. And they normally have a UV light on top. Now, that is a great product, but the guys sort of got to that space where it's a one size fits all, and it can treat anything. Basically. and what happens there is we would have plumbers or water treatment guys or end users approaching us and saying they've put the system in, but is it okay? And we'd say, did you get a water test done? And they'd say no. So we say, well, best you get a water test done, because that system might be right, but it might not be right for what
All
you've
right.
got. And a quick mistake we see often there is a UV light, depending on the brand and how it's installed, might be killing 99.7% of the bacteria or 98%. So a big portion. So often normal boreholes or rainwater systems will have a certain sort of bacteria count that, let's call it 200 CFUs per 100 mils. That's the reading for bacteria. And we can straight away see that UV light's effective there. But some of these sites might have wastewater that's got into the system and that, and all of a sudden you have like 500 E. coli in there, and you have like a 2,000 count of coliforms. Now you do the mass, even if that UV light's pulling out, call it 99%, that 1% now is still a massive amount that's getting through. They might also, the water might be very dirty, sort of stained water with a lot of particle in that you're not getting out, runs through the UV light, and then the UV light can't penetrate as well through the stained water, so the ultraviolet rays are not taking out as much bacteria. That's just one example. And one other one I quickly want to share, which we see often, was the guys would come in and design a great system. It's well piped, everything's done correct. They've put a reverse osmosis system in to take out sort of sodium and the salt levels. They've put good pre-filtration to remove the iron and manganese before. But then right at the end, because of the reverse osmosis system, they've pulled the calcium carbonate levels down so low that now the pH has dropped. And there they now send the water into the house with a very low pH. In the plumbing industry, it's sort of, you guys work on the LSI index. But then basically what happens, it gets into that copper pipe work, and within a few weeks to a few months, all of a sudden everything starts corroding in your house. So there's small things that the guys miss. There's big things, but that's where that training and assistance from guys like us just steers you right, so you're installing correctly.
And every area is different. So Cape Town's different to, let's say, Rustenburg, or so Rustenburg's got a lime problem. So filtration helps with taking it to your ice makers, your geyser, the anodes, and water affects all of that. Whereas if it's coming in and hard and it's going to affect, you're going to have your elements popping. You're going to have, and there are so many cases around the country where water affects the appliances.
Yeah.
And that's where simple filtration and a bit of, just a bit of research or asking, can change that whole environment. Yeah. And that saves money.
I want to ask two questions before we take a quick break and do up a little setup for a product demonstration or showcasing. So we're pressed for time, so I'm going to ask a brief answer on this. I would have liked to have elaborated a little bit more on it, but we are pressed for time. So I'm going to ask the first question. What is the perspective looking like for formal training in this, and having a standard put out there for it, and having it, dare I say, slightly more regulated to ensure that risk is reduced for customers, and that the mistakes that you were mentioning now are reduced or alleviated completely? What is the perspective of that? And
very brief from our side, and then I'll let Duncan jump in. So from our custom point of view, we do in-house training. You set it up. We've got a team of 10 technical sales guys that can do training and help you straight away if customers ours. But we're looking to do a lot more with it. And guys like Duncan, Brendan, that are well known in the industry, are going to sort of steer that going forward.
Yeah, so our objective is obviously to standardize a lot of that training and put it against sort of some of the bylaws and stuff like that, and then obviously have that formalized into a training. So like I said, a very basic training, then an intermediate, and then obviously advanced. So the idea is that training should happen while you're busy learning, because then you can apply the learnings. So what we would like to do is then, if you introduce to the system, so we start you off on, so like Alan said, we will give you customers that are going to do RO systems under counter that. So we give you those type of jobs, and then you come back and you learn, and you say, okay, we've done 3 or 4 of these. So we've learned and seen the photos, and, kind of like how a master plumber would show off his his work that he's done, or showcasing this, and eventually that will help the plumbers with us doing more and more offerings of the training. Eventually we'll have a LSM platform that that potentially everybody can use, because I think there's a need for it, a big need, and that's why we're pushing. So all of next year is probably going to be what we're going to be doing.
You know that we've got a training center in the back here. We can see 70 plumbers at once. So,
well, that was the thing. So we
have
have spoken to Moralise, and I think for like 4 times a year, we can have a dedicated session here where guys can just arrive and we can spend 2-3 hours with them physically, maybe even with a setup and saying, this is your basic stuff. Otherwise we do it at the plumbers' evenings
or online.
There's a lot of ways we can do that.
From a water component side as well, we have the in-house training at our offices, but if we get invited or that wherever it's through the PIRB or some of the other plumbing bodies, we want to get involved there because, we run a business and we've got to keep that going. But at the same time, we want to give back.
Yeah.
And the industry needs the guys to know what they're doing, because it's also not great selling to guys that constantly do it wrong, that constantly come back and want replacements and problems. So you want the industry to get stronger and to grow. And that also then in time protects the guys that have done the training and have got certified. It protects them, because then the end user and the public starts going to them and trusting them. Very similar to the PIRB and the great organization you've grown, where you've got that stamp of approval. So
Alan, listen, I'm really looking forward to actually seeing the products that you are discussing, and it's always good for our plumbers to physically see it. So I think let's cut to a quick product demonstration or showcasing, and then we'll come and wrap up the episode after that.
And very quickly from myself, the products we're going to show today are just a handful of them, but we've got our catalogs. We've got the smaller one, which is condensed. Then we've also got the bigger one that includes all industrial. We've got almost 100 pages of products. So what we're going to show you today is just a few of them.
The tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
That's it.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Alan, so lekker. Yes, I know that you said this is just the tip of the iceberg. You've got about a range of 40 different brands, and each of them have a range of products. Exactly, so this is just a measly few little examples that you brought to studio, but I'm quite excited for you to tell us what each of these are, what they do, just a little bit of an explanation of each. So I'm going to give the floor is yours, Minia.
Thanks, Willem. Like you say, this is just a few products we brought in that we thought maybe would be interesting for the podcast. And as we mentioned earlier, come through to our warehouses if you want to see the rest of the range and get our catalog, which has everything in it. So let me start in one of the very common products that a lot of plumbers will come across. A lot of the homeowners will ask them about it, and that's an under-counter RO, under-counter reverse osmosis system. Mm-hmm. There are thousands of different manufacturers out there. There's multiple levels of quality out there. At Water Components South Africa, we've always tried to go for the slightly higher level ones, because this is a product that can give you a lot of headaches. If the fittings and things like that are not good quality, you get leaks. The ones that have a little pump system as well can often cause a lot of problems. So we have the Karofi brand and the Puricon brand. And these are brands we've selected over the years through trying out other brands and never worked that well. And we're quite confident in this product. So jumping onto the product this is specifically a slightly bigger one. It's a 400 gallon per day, where the guys want a little bit more water. But traditionally at a house, you're going to be having an under-counter RO that's about 50 gallons a day. Maybe 75 gallon a day or 100 gallon per day membrane. And this specific one's only got 2 pre-filters, but your pre-filters, the water would come into the first housing, which is normally a sediment cartridge, which they call a polypropylene cartridge. The guys would have seen it. Inside that cartridge, all it's doing is taking out sediment to a normal level of, it can be a 1 micron, it can be a 5 micron. So any particles in the water, that's the first stage. It catches that part of it. It's then followed by the next vertical housing, which would be generally a carbon block or what they call granular activated carbon. Carbon is to remove odors, tastes in the water, and very importantly, it also removes chlorine out of the water. Now, we need chlorine in our municipal supplies to keep the bacteria out.
Yeah.
But once it gets to your household and you want to now put the water through a reverse osmosis membrane, chlorine oxidizes the membrane layers. So if you don't take the chlorine out, you will damage the membrane layers. So before the system, you take out the sediment or the sediment cartridge, and it goes through the carbon, takes out the chlorine. And from this carbon block, it now runs into the reverse osmosis membrane.
Is that something that is needed? Is it recommendable, or is it needed, or is it just a choice?
So a lot of the people will try sell your reverse osmosis system because, it's a good sale. But to be honest, we like to be honest with our customers. We only promote reverse osmosis under-counter systems where we feel it's needed.
All right.
Where it's needed often is certain customers are going to say they want bottled quality water at their house. Then you need to go for a reverse osmosis system. Certain customers at their water supply is not going to be good, and they're going to have what they call your sodium and your chloride, your sodium, which is your salt content in the water. And some of the municipal supplies are quite bad now where you can taste it. Reverse osmosis membranes, in a nutshell, basically can take dissolved solids out of the water. It's not like a sediment cartridge that takes out particle matter. Reverse osmosis membrane, through pressure, the reverse osmosis process pushes out the clean water and takes out dissolved solids. So it can take up sodium, chloride, fluoride, all your dissolved solids, that stuff you learned at science at school, in the water. The RO membrane removes that.
All right.
RO systems are great if you want that good quality, like I mentioned. However, they've also got quite a lot of waste. A bigger industrial reverse osmosis system, because you've got multiple membranes and you've got recycle loops, you can often pull back a lot of the waste and put it back through the system. The under-counter RO units, you're often wasting about, if you're putting 100 liters into it, you might get anywhere from 15 to 20% recovery, which means if 100 liters comes into the system, you might get 15 to 20 liters that is the drinking water. The rest goes down your drain. So there's high wastage, which isn't great in a water crisis. However, you can take that water back to a tank in your garden, and you can use it in the garden. You can use it for other stuff. Reuse it and repurpose it. So it's not all bad. So there's a definite need for under-counter ROs, but sometimes you don't need to go that route. You can just go with the under-counter sediment and a carbon, and there's many options there.
Hence the advantage of when the plumbers and the technicians want to install these, that you give that service to them to say, let's determine what the real need is at the customer. Let's recommend according to what the customer's circumstances and the scenario and whatever is, because then you apply the correct product.
That's what we try to do. We're not trying to just push RO into every household. Like you say, give the guys what they need, what they've asked for, and
But Alan, let's get back to from here. You said it goes into
so it's going into the RO membrane. We do more in-depth training on reverse osmosis systems for the guys, so I'll just do the basics here. But on a normal municipal, if you've got 5 or 6 bar pressure, you can get away with the reverse osmosis systems that don't have a little pump on.
All right.
However, if you're concerned the pressure's a little bit low, 3-4 bar, somewhere around there, or 2 bar in some areas can be really low, you get the unit that would, at the back of it here, have a little, what they call a booster pump.
All right.
And all that little booster pump would do is just increase the pressure to maybe 6-7 bar, because you need a bit of pressure to push water through the membrane inside. And that obviously means you've got to now bring electricity down to it. They normally convert it into a safer voltage with a transformer. So when the guys can get away without a unit without pump, it's more cost effective and it's less complex, less things can go wrong with it. They go that route, but the pump systems tend to sell more because they give a bit of a better pressure and a better sort of flow at the end of the line.
Right.
And even though these little units make a very small amount of product water, they will go into a little holding tank, a little bladder tank, which normally holds around about 3 gallons. So it's about 12 liters. And because it's got the pressurized bladder, when it goes to your faucet, you open the faucet, it comes out with a decent flow. So it doesn't take you all day to fill a glass or bottle.
Nice.
When we sell these units, they come with a strong instruction manual. They've got all the little fittings, the pipe, everything's in one box, and you can install it from that. And then we always a phone call away if you don't understand or you're not sure of something. So yeah, that's.
And then this thing at the back here, when we turn it around, so there's all sorts of contraptions.
Because of the space, we didn't have the tank here, but that little pressure tank that also sits under counter, the water will come from the reverse osmosis membrane into that storage bladder tank. When it sits in that bladder tank for some time, things can happen. You know, you can get taste from the rubber bladder. There's all sorts of things that can happen to sitting water. So before the water now runs to the faucet or the point of use, the water will now run back from the tank and it will run through this cartridge, which is called a post-carbon cartridge.
Wow.
And that's just to take out any odors or tastes or things that have come in. So it's a final, call it polishing of the water. So you get that
before
very
it actually
clean
comes out of
taste.
the tap.
Yes.
Let's talk maintenance on this. How regularly do you change filters? I mean, is there recommended stuff? Does it come with a brochure that says filters should be changed so every so often?
The brochure does tell you the estimated times, but with anything in water treatment, you've got to remember it's variable because it's how much water's gone through it. Are they using it all day, every day? So the amount of flow over is a variable. And the second variable is what quality is the water. If you've got a clean water coming in versus a dirty water, that's going to change the lifespan of the filters. But if we have to give, our sales team would normally tell you, change the pre-filter, the sediment filter more regularly, because that takes the brunt of the water, most of the big sediment and that. So generally every 3 months, you could change that. Like I said, it's variable. Every 3 months, the carbon block, we look at anything from 6 to 8 months. Membranes technically should be lasting you, if you've kept the pre-filtration changes at the right time and regular, you can get up to 5 years out of a membrane.
Just like.
But on average, the guys are normally changing them every, I would say, 2 to 3 years, round about there. And the membrane just keeps going. You'll know in the system the membrane needs to be changed because your product flow is going to come down. And that's what happens is it gets so much scaling there with calcium and all sorts of stuff that eventually it's a drip coming out and then it's time to change. In industrial reverse osmosis systems, you clean the membranes with an acid and an alkaline wash. But on small membranes like this, it's not practical. So you swap it out.
It's nice. Yeah. Very, very nice. What else have you brought today?
Okay, and then another interesting product. Some of the plumbers will already know it because you've been showcasing it quite a lot. We've got the EasyFlow glass composite fittings. That's a Norwegian product.
EasyFlow, that's obviously a brand.
EasyFlow, yeah. And I've specifically what we call the problem solver. They do have a much bigger range of what we call sprint fittings, which are push-in fittings. But just to explain it quickly, these fittings are about a 60% glass. So it's a glass composite. So it's got the strength of a metal, but the corrosion resistance of a plastic. They come with a 20-year warranty. They are a more expensive fitting. But you know with this, when you put it in, it's going to last for long. But the main thing we've got here is this is what we call the flexi. So on either side, it can take 20 to 27 millimeters. It can also take polycop, HDPE, PVC, galvanized. Yeah, this specific one's the next step up. So that's 20 to 27 mil, and that's 27 to 35 mil.
All right.
We've also now got a 15 to 22 mil to cover that range. And then we also do this one, which will have a male on this side. So often guys know from a tank or a pump, they need that specific size, but this size, they don't know what pipe they're going to have, what size it's going to be. So then you have the flexi on that side. And basically you're putting the pipe in, sorry, you're tightening it up, and then one swing of the spanner, and then it's good to go. So this is not something you're necessarily using for every fitting because it gets too costly. This is what a lot of the plumbers that do use them already, they keep 1 or 2 in their vehicles when you've got those late night call outs or you've got an issue at a site and you need to come up with a solution quickly.
Nice.
And a lot of the time, as we know, polycops, especially down in the Western Cape area, there's a lot of polycop in the ground. And then you have other, you might have galvanized or copper. With this, you can come in there and put it on different sizes, different materials, and you're good to go.
That's cool. That's very cool.
EasyFlow is a very big range. We've also got a catalog. We keep all their stock. Again, these are specialized fittings, and they serve a purpose for the guys that want to have the best of the best fittings. As we spoke about earlier, we have the cheaper stuff, then we have the sort of Rolls-Royce brands, and this is one of those Rolls-Royce brands.
Oh, like
and for 20 years, once you put that in, it ever leaks or there's any issues, it's a straight replacement.
Sure.
That's how much they stand behind their product.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And the little, I see the name here, Tank Buddy.
Yes. Duncan made mention of this as well. This is a product we've done exceptionally well with. We mentioned earlier the guys used to use bore valves and all different ways of things. And a bore valve's problem is how long is that arm? And when it drops, the tank drops, the bore valve can only go so low. So you often you have a very, what's the right way to say, your interval of the tank filling and stopping to fill is based on how short that bore valve is.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Tank Buddy, you've got that extended line that you can set, and this basically gets screwed onto the tank directly. And we've got the different sizes. We go from there's a 20 mil, 25 mil, I think there's a 30, 40, and a 50. So we cover all the different sizes. And if you want to set your tank, especially on backup systems where you're changing from municipal to an alternative borehole rainwater system, once the float's right at the top and it's pulled itself up the line, it then closes that valve. Once this floats all the way at the bottom, again, you can set it as however you want to. Then it opens, it pulls it down, and then it opens up the valve and it fills up. So very innovative product.
I like it.
A lot of the plumbers are already buying it.
Yeah.
So this is also, you can buy directly from our warehouses, but multiple retail outlets are also selling it.
Okay. All right.
It's got very good instructional videos. It's got a Tank Buddy actual website in the South African format that you can go look at. So yeah,
we're going to put
very nice product.
Water Components' website address on the so we're going to check it digitally on the episode as well, so that they can just visit you, your branch. Let's get this off of the table.
Sure.
Alan, this is interesting. This looks almost like a shower pipe or something. Something you would fit into your bathroom in the shower. What is this?
I'll start. This is a standard UV ultraviolet sterilizer. Very big seller across the board globally. Normally you would have your inlet and your outlet, and inside this stainless steel canister you'd have the UV bulb and a quartz that goes around it. The quartz is to protect the UV bulb from the water getting onto the bulb. It also helps strengthen the ultraviolet rays. And in the water treatment space, you will normally have it in a stainless steel, because stainless steel, less bacteria grows on it, things like that. When you look at the aquarium market and the pond market, they often have it in a sort of a plastic chamber, but because it's often drinking applications, you'll use the stainless steel size. This is specific one's a 55 watt. It covers roughly a flow of about 2.5 to about 3,000 liters an hour. So it's the most common used for a whole house. So this will often go before the house, and then it covers all the water going into the house. We have different ranges from small UV lights that cover like 200 liters an hour, right up to ones that are covering 10, 15,000 liters an hour. Yeah.
Yes.
And
but this is then the difference between something like this is this kills bacteria.
Correct.
It doesn't necessarily collect the sediment and stuff like
No.
that your filtration system
Correct.
does.
So before UV light, you've always got unless the water was really clean from no sediment in it, you could just go straight UV, but that's like 1% of the time. It's very rare. You're going to always treat the water with sediment, carbon, and then possibly another sediment filter before this. So you're taking out a lot of that stuff. And then the UV light can then have a cleaner water so that the ultraviolet rays can get through the water better and zap the bacteria better. This is often the last process. And while we're on that, I'll just show you. I kept them separate now, but normally what the guys do is they'll often have the UV light mounted on top.
Right.
Or they'll have it, this system, and then they'll have the UV feather down. Most plumbers that have been to the plumbing stores or irrigation shops, water treatment shops will know what this is. It's often commonly referred to as the big blue filtration system. This one's just one of the higher end ones we sell. We also sell the standard one that has the white frame and the blue housings with the black lids. That's the most common you see out there. This one's just the color that a lot of customers like now. The grays and the dark often look better on a modern house. So it's become very popular. This specific one also has a stainless steel frame for the guys at the coast. So a little bit more expensive, but we've got the options. We've got an entry-level one, a middle market one, and this is our top-of-the-range one.
Where does this get mounted? Also under your kitchen cupboard, or is this usually outside? Or
normally this is going to be for a whole house, or a small office or something. Because of its size, it's very similar to the reverse osmosis system where you had those pre-filters that were the sediment and the carbon. This is just a bigger size now, which is based on the flow rate. Guys do put bigger flow rates through, but then your filtration efficiency comes down. But normally you're going to be in a 2,000 to 2,500 liters an hour through this. So that's why it's fine to go through for household. And your first filter over here, basically, if you're coming in on the inlet on this side, will normally be either 20 micron or it's going to be some guys go 5 micron, and then the second one, they'll also go with that granular activated carbon or carbon block, which do very similar thing. They're both coconut shell carbon. They're just in different formats. The one's a whole lot of tiny granules, which gives a more surface area, so it exposes the water to more carbon. The carbon block's just a solid carbon block, also very good, but it's just a different way that the suppliers sell it. So you started with that either a 5 or 20 micron through the carbon block, and then you often finish off with a 5 or 1 micron. So you're going from the higher micron to take out the bigger stuff first, through the carbon, take out odors, taste, chlorine, and then the last one, a 1 or a 5 micron to take out the smaller particles. And then from there, the guys often mount the UV on top of this. So it goes through the UV and then it goes into the house. If there's no space, or say there's no electric supply where this is mounted, then you can mount the UV light further down in another place. This is probably your biggest seller in South Africa in the residential small water treatment space are these triple big blue systems. Under-counter ROs also get sold a lot. The countertop units that are also for the under the sink and on top of the sink. But the retail guys, wherever you go, you will see they'll have for some form of a triple big blue, or this one a triple big grey, or whatever you want to call it.
Just for the sake of interest, purely for the sake of interest, do you also sell like ancillary products like a tap that would go with the filtration system, or is it only the filtration and parts of it?
So we sell a lot of ancillary products. We've got a wide range of taps. We've got all the little pipe work that goes between it. We sell the nipples and the couplings. We sell different options that can go in these housings, like mixed bed resin. We sell cartridges that also help raise the pH. There's probably 30, 40 different specialized cartridges we sell. We've probably got about, I'd call it about 30 different tap options. We even keep PVC piping. Everything you can think of at a water treatment site, you can come by us. A lot of plumbers also come to us. They might not be buying water treatment stuff, but they're going to be buying a pump from us, fittings, pipe, the tank body or float switches. We also have the little pump controllers. So in the sort of manual catalog or price list, I mentioned it earlier, we call this the retail essentials price list. This is generally more for the guys that are doing domestic applications, and it's about 60 pages. It's got nice pictures and that, and it goes through all the different things we sell. And then our core price list is about 120 pages. So it's all this stuff. But on top of that, it's got all the industrial water treatment stuff, which often the plumbers and that don't always want to see, because they don't deal with that. And then they've got to page through a lot. So the best, like I mentioned, is the guys come visit us at the warehouse. We often do it. We take the guys through. They can look at a catalog, but it's actually better when you walk around in the warehouse and you see, I could use that,
Alan, something you mentioned was the fact that this comes with a little brochure to say how it should be installed.
Yes.
Great. It shows how it should be installed. But the fact remains that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be considered.
Yes.
The testing of the water, the circumstances, the pressure of the water.
Yes.
And those are the finer details that plumbers, I would use the phrase, receive training in.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to have a little brochure and say, okay, this pipe connects there, this pipe connects there. But all the finer details that you need to consider before offering a solution to a customer. That makes it for me interesting, and that's where the training that you give and the guidance that you give comes in.
And that training's a bit more in depth, but what the guys can know just as a starting point is if you've got a rainwater system, more than likely you can get away with this. That's going to be fine. Rainwater's generally might have a low pH, you might have some issues of stuff that's come off the roof, and there's that rainwater harvesting equipment you can get to sort of do first flushes and that. But rainwater systems, you can get away with a unit like this without going and doing analysis and all of that. If it's municipal water and you want to just clean it up, because municipal water has also got problems, you can go straight with this. As soon as you start using what we call groundwater, which can be a well point, which can be a borehole, which can be a river, it can be a farm dam. As soon as you get into that spectrum, I can tell you right now, any responsible water treatment company should not be quoting you a system unless you've given them analysis. And if they are quoting you on that, then they're thumb sucking. It's like going to a doctor who's experienced in what he's doing, but you don't have an x-ray. So now he's guessing what's in that water. The water analysis is the same thing. If you don't show that to us, I can look at the water and say, oh, it looks a bit murky, it tastes a bit salty, but what does that mean? The analysis breaks it down. We look at it, then you know what you're dealing with. And if you're not doing that, you're being irresponsible because,
A question just for the sake of interest, Alan. We know for a fact that we can get dam water and underground water and water from wells and rivers. We can get it to a stage where it's potable and drinkable and safe to consume, right? And not just be used for gardening or flushing toilets. Would you say that can be, the same can happen to rainwater? If we harvest rainwater, can we get it to a stage where it's actually potable for us to drink? Or are we not there yet?
No, absolutely. I mean, rainwater is generally quite clean. I mean, if you live, say, near a big factory where there's a lot of stuff going into the air, you might want to check it out then. But generally, rainwater is pretty clean. And if you send it through this system like this with a UV light, you should be good to go. You can always be extra careful. And after it's gone through this, when the system's been installed, you can do a water test if you want peace of mind. But rainwater does not have the complex stuff that we normally have to battle. It will have, you can have bacteria and stuff that grow in the tanks. You could have some stuff that's come off the roof, like say you got asbestos roof or something funny like that. So, but if it's a good supply of rainwater into that through this system, you're right. But I always say, rather be safe than sorry. Get a test done if you're planning to drink it. And
the fact
rainwater
is
is the easiest way to capture water.
Yeah.
It's the least,
Yeah.
it's inexpensive.
we're now entering. We had yesterday and the day before we had our first rains in Gauteng.
Yes.
So it's the beginning of our rain season.
Yes.
And it's water for free.
Exactly.
It's water for free.
And once you've got tanks set up and the roofs set up.
Yes, I think of products like rain harvesting that I've had conversations with Duncan before.
Yes.
And how it blocks certain things from getting into the tanks and stuff like that, so that the water stays as safe as possible.
Exactly.
Without debris in it, without little lizards climbing into it, or birds or bird droppings getting into it.
All sorts of stuff happens in
it
tanks.
It prevents it, And their product specifically prevents that from happening. So in addition, if you have the proper filtration and antibacterial systems and those kind of things, we can maybe turn the free water into potable water.
Like you said, the rainwater system, we work quite a lot with the rainwater harvesting guys, because they're doing that first part of it, of what comes off the roof and all the different parts that make sure that first flushes go and bigger particles don't get there. But then you still need the filtration side. But if you follow that process right, it's your cheapest, most cost-effective way to get water at a household. Boreholes are great because there's more water in that, but you're spending a lot of money firstly drilling, and you're never guaranteed what the quality is going to be. And then if you start dealing then with manganese, iron, fluorides, there's all sorts of stuff in groundwater, and that's when the treatment process becomes more complex and more expensive. And a lot of people go that route, and there always will be. But if you can get away with the rainwater system, it's great.
Alan, listen, I'm sold. And it's again, it's always interesting to see the stuff firsthand. And we're looking forward to having you here at the 21st of November, 2025.
Yeah,
World Toilet Day, so that our plumbers, our audience that are watching this episode now can come and engage with you, learn more, undergo the training session.
Yes.
And hopefully more plumbers can see this as a good business opportunity and a solution to a greater problem.
Yeah, so you're welcome at that World Toilet Day. Will be available, and thank you for that platform to come. And, if you want to come sooner, give us a shout. Come visit us at our Joburg warehouse. We're always available.
Listen, let's go close off this episode.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank
Alan.
you. Thanks, guys.
Alan, lekker. Thanks for that. Like I always say, plumbers always want to see what we're talking about, and we can chuck in video clips or we can chuck in photographs of the products, but it's lekker when you actually show, listen, this part does this part does that.
Yes.
They can see it in your hands, you turn it around and the camera focuses on it. So it's lekker for them to see the actual thing. So thanks for having brought, like you said, only a handful of the range of products that you have.
Yes.
I think thanks for that demo. So, like all good things, always come to an end. This episode is also drawing to a close, but I want to close this off with, giving you the opportunity. Any specific message that you want to give to the plumbers? We mainly have an audience of plumbers listening.